Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Silver Tears Tarot, and welcome to today's reading, which is it's a what's happening in your person's world reading. It may jump into that third party realm as well, because we expect that anything that's really showing up in your person's life as far as a driving force is going to show up probably in here, and we know that that includes third party type energy. So we're going to go ahead and jump in. It will be a general reading for this collective as usual, so it's not going to resonate with everybody, but if it does resonate with you, then by all means hit the subscribe and settle in. There's probably a few videos in there that would be beneficial for you to take a look at, because these videos are all very much connected. So if you see something here that feels like we're talking about your story, then you may realize that there's more to be gained in some of these other readings. So we're going to go ahead and get started. And so this is what's happening in your person's life right now. So we're going to start out by looking at what's happening in their energy. So it's what's happening, kind of what's that energetic and emotional backdrop for your person right now. We've got the Four of Coins, a feeling that they're unable to let go of something. Knight of Swords, inability to commit and a resistance to moving forward on something that they said that they already did. So, or they said they were already going to do. So basically it's like they've already made the commitment and yet they don't want to move forward with it. Queen of Coins in the reverse, saying that they don't feel right about themselves and that's why they're not able to move forward. Something has happened that they're not able to let go. Something has, like, that's what's getting in the way. Something has happened which is mixed with them not feeling right about themselves. This is what caused this resistance, or this kind of, this is something that happened. It was not necessarily applicable to you, but it could also be applicable to you, because this is a general energy in them right now. It's a very stop short sort of energy. They have a tendency to hesitate. There's a tendency to hesitate that comes in with this Queen of Coins, because it's like, wait a minute, I'm not sure. Am I okay with this? Am I okay to move forward on this? I'm not quite sure how I feel about it. And then with the Four of Coins, it's a feeling of assuming, almost an assumption that something else will be needed and they're not prepared to deliver it. With the Knight of Swords, though, that's a strong feeling of hesitation and, like I said, an unwillingness to commit to something that they've already committed to, like they're unable to deliver. It's more like an unwillingness or an inability to deliver. So they're locked up and hiding, is what it feels like to me. There's a sense of them locked up and inside, locked up emotionally and hiding. Locked up, not like somebody's locking them up. But I mean, more can come of that later. We'll see what happens as far as impact from other people. But at this point, they are emotionally locked, hiding, and they are being showered with information that is making them feel incredibly uncomfortable right now. They're gradually coming to become a little bit more aware of it, a little bit more accepting of it and what it could mean. This feels like the information around you, but I also feel like there's a change that's happening in their life that they're trying to get right with right now. Something that's creating a little bit of consternation. Definitely there's a need for them to make decisions. We saw a lot of that coming out. The Two of Swords card has been coming out a lot here lately. But with the Devil, there's something that one of the reasons that they are having so much hesitation here is because they're having to think about things in a new way. Things that they have always thought they had it in the bag. They always kind of thought they knew how to feel about it, how they knew how to work with it. Something has changed, and what has control over them no longer has control over them. Something that does. What's happened is it's kind of nice because it's freed them up, but it also is a little bit frustrating because now they're looking at everything like it might be the next thing to control them. So be aware that if this is somebody that's looking like they're coming out of a relationship, they're a little wary of going into another one because they are concerned that something is going to take place that reminds them of what's happened in the past. We've got the Two of Swords here around a decision that has to be made, but it feels like a decision around communication. Like I have to decide if or how they want to talk to somebody. They have to decide if or how they want to have a communication or make a communication. That could be you. We definitely have seen a lot of desire around making a communication, and it's like they think about it and then they talk themselves out of it. But I feel like the way that we saw, at least if you get into yesterday's extended, we talked about not just how they were feeling, but like what they were likely to do. So not just, yeah, I feel like making a communication toward you, which did come out. It started to come out in the YouTube reading, and then it came out again, and we got a little deeper into it. But if you were to go back and watch that, you would find basically the way that they come your direction is, I mean, first off, not for the faint of heart. I just would say that was kind of an intense reading that said some things I didn't expect to come out and that I haven't said before. But, okay, so we've got the Queen of Wands. If this person heads your way, realize that even though they have some pretty impressive credit under their belt at this point, they're still very much working through some things, and they may be making up for it with this intensity that they've got going on and this momentum. They've got a nice momentum, a nice intensity, but they are not yet healed. And that is something that kind of gets in the way of their ability to continue, or not. It gets in the way of their ability to maintain a momentum, and that's kind of what we see here with the Seven of Wands. With the Four of Swords, it's really about the, hey, here's the lack of healing that drives that Seven of Wands in the reverse. Tendency to hesitate, tendency to slow down when things get a little bit less clear. But that Six of Swords is the momentum that's already pushing them forward. They are moving into a new place, and it is ultimately it's going to be positive. It's going to be something to see, but it could be a little bit of a, kind of a hot mess in between. This Queen of Wands almost assures that. That's some hot mess sort of energy. Like it's pushing forward, but not necessarily in the most calculated and intelligent of ways, which of course we don't always want it to be super calculated, but we at least want you to not like burn yourself when you're trying to, it's just, there's a lot of potential for things to go wrong. And with that Three of Coins honorable mention that just showed up there, I don't think it's coming out as the next card, but there is plenty of opportunity for things to go wrong. That's what I would say. Yeah, and there's some self-destructive behavior in here that will potentially, or self-destructive energy. I don't know that they're going to engage in the self-destructive behavior. There's a potential for it. This is a person who's seeing a lot more of themselves here lately and may actually be able to identify some of that self-destructive behavior rather than simply fall prey to it. So there is that. I will give it that. And that would be a really positive thing. Let's take a look and see now a little bit more of what's happening in their environment, because we're seeing the energy that they're in. We're maybe seeing a little bit of it's super helpful to understand this piece so that we understand what to kind of superimpose over that as here's the energy that they're in, but here's what they're dealing with. So let's take a look at that, what they're dealing with as we get into this energy. Okay, so we have the Seven of Swords. Oh, they're dealing with nonsense. Legitimate nonsense. This is somebody deceiving them or behaving in a deceptive sort of way toward them, not necessarily toward you. This is toward them. So this could be someone at work that is acting poorly. This could be a spouse or significant other who is not being genuine toward them. There's something that it's pushing them into, like they know it. They know this. It's breaking a partnership. The Two of Cups in the reverse and the Hermit. So this is sending them into a different type of emotional place, not necessarily one where they want to call it out from the rooftops, by the way. So there's a lot of sadness in this. There's a lot of sadness in this feeling like they didn't expect to be deceived in a way that they've been deceived, or they didn't expect for something to go wrong in the way that it did. Like they did expect something to go, it's like they thought they were going to outsmart somebody and that person ended up outsmarting them, or they thought that they were going to be like comfortable in a job and that job dropped them, just like a hot potato, not even with any regard. It was that kind of thing. So everyone's situation will be a little different, but they're dealing with some sort of undercut that they weren't anticipating, and that does create a pretty significant issue. With this is going to be a third party energy, but we see this self-destructive behavior with them, and hopefully it doesn't go beyond sending you a note, because a drunk text from you or drunk text to you is probably less destructive to them overall and to your relationship overall, depending on the type of drunk text, as we could see from yesterday's extended. It really just kind of depends on the situation. They are in a kind of we've seen it before recently, bit of a loose cannon sort of energy right now. But it's not completely loose cannon with this hermit energy here. They know it, and they're at least observing themselves, even if they don't have complete control over what's going on. So we got the Queen of Cups. Yep, here's that lack of control because they're being triggered again. This is a person who's being triggered and might make some choices that are a little bit on the questionable side, things that they might have considered questionable. Oh my gosh, even before. So we've got the Three of Cups here in the reverse, which is basically like just going on. With the Seven of Swords and the Two of Cups in reverse energy. Not only is it a partnership that's falling apart, but this is definitely some of that third party energy. We have the King of Wands here. What I see here is them actively trying to redirect some of their energy, but not necessarily doing everything for the right reasons. So we've got the Four of Coins. It actually does set them back. We've got the Four of Coins and the King of Wands. We see this Four of Coins over here already. And the King of Wands is like really, really, going all in with a decision that maybe is a bad decision. But with the Four of Coins, this is the part where they don't do it for the right reasons. Because remember, they're holding something back. There's something that is being held back in them that honestly is probably something that they need to confront. The question is around timing. But they do create a bit of a setback for themselves. Okay. So they created a little bit of a setback for themselves because of the way they handle this. Because maybe in some cases they drunk text you and they say some of the things that they say, as we were discovering in yesterday's extended, could be a little bit inflammatory or a little bit right words, wrong time. And that could create a bit of a setback for them that makes it more difficult for them to deal with this third party situation effectively, I guess, is kind of what I get from that. So it ends up hurting them in a way. So this Seven of Swords, we've got another Seven of Swords coming out here, talking about deception, talking about hurting them, but this time it's not somebody else hurting them. This is them hurting themselves. And it's through that self-destructive behavior that creates a little bit of a setback. So you may want to be careful with whatever comes out of this, because this person, if they do come your direction with this energy, is very much reacting. Oh, I still got to go with these. Still very much reacting to that ancient pain. Okay. They've got something that is, oh, wow, we're still going. Still something that is very unfinished. The ancient pain either comes from their childhood. There's some childhood stuff in here for sure. But I think also in a lot of cases, there's some of that came up from previous generations in the form of values, and it's creating issues for them now. So they've been taught to feel a certain way that they don't actually feel, and they're having to figure out how to reconcile that. So as a result, there are some things, loose ends, that this person is looking to tie up. One of those loose ends is going to be around their interaction with you. And so this is where you start getting the likelihood of that inappropriate communication that we saw coming through in the extended yesterday. But so the aftermath of this is actually kind of difficult. So they've got some aftermath that comes from both dealing with this third party situation and potentially, depending on what they do, dealing with you. Because the thing is, their overthinking is going to come back, and it's going to come back like tenfold. So anything that they do during this time where they're kind of making shifts, it ends up being shifts that change their way of life, but anything that they do in this time frame, they're going to have a lot of anxiety about it, even if everything they've done was exactly the right thing. Like they might look at it on paper and say this makes perfect sense, but they aren't going to be able to sleep at night because something about it really just bugs them. They make a decision, and it's like I said, doing things for the right reasons. Make sure that if this person comes to you, this came through also before, make sure you are doing anything that you do with this person for the right reasons, because you may have kind of an intense meetup with this person if that's the direction that you two decide to go. Far outside your expectations. Remember, important conversation coming your way, that there's a lot of potential for misunderstanding. And it makes sense to make sure that you address as much of that misunderstanding at the time as possible. But there will be challenges to addressing that. Chief among those issues will be this Knight of Wands sort of energy. So this is that in and out energy that we've come to know and be so familiar with in this group. This energy is going to be part of a defense mechanism for your person when you run across it. Because that's kind of what's happening in their life right now, is they're being put on the defensive. There's a sense of them trying to, we know there's a sense of them trying to make things right. We saw the Justice card come out a couple times yesterday. But there's a sense of them not knowing, this is them not knowing if they're going in the right direction. So there are a lot of things that are really important to them right now that have them kind of trying to, have them feeling like they're floundering a little bit in their daily life, and they're not quite sure what they should be doing with it. So it's an uncomfortable sort of a place to be, but not necessarily one that's the end of the world. It's just a matter of them needing to be careful with what they do from this point. We saw yesterday some of that was genuinely some loose cannon, drunk texting sort of behavior that could potentially come from them. Here we start to see a little bit why when we look at what's underlying the rest of their actions. And then when we look at what's happening in their life, we see, there's something coming to a fairly destructive point, whether it's completely at an end or not. Coming to a fairly destructive point, a partnership that was a partnership is no longer. So if it seemed like they were fairly genuine when they were talking about, I really love this job, I really love this person I work with, I really love this person I married to, whatever it is, if they felt like they had this incredible partnership, I feel like they have, because of this Seven of Swords energy, sort of feel like that has broken down somewhat. Okay, so we're going to look a little bit farther into this, I think, when we get into the extended, because we need to understand what's likely to, I guess, happen. What do we derive from this? What are their behaviors that come after this? We see a potential for some maybe not so great behavior and not so very well thought out behavior, some self-destructive, and we see evidence of that kind of throughout, and self-destructive behavior. There's hesitation. We're seeing them hesitate because of their concerns about their ability to move forward, because they're being deceived, or there's something that's going on that's pushing them into a place where they have to do a lot of thinking, but some sort of partnership is ending. So let's look a little bit more into what that drives for them, and what does that mean? Does it push them your direction? Is that what pushes them your direction to the drunk text energy that we saw, or is there something else going on? But before we get to that, let's go ahead and look at your energy and what you need to be focused on. So, as always, if I'm going to do an extended, and I'm doing them almost every day these days, there's a link that's down below. But we always have to get into you. I don't want people to have to go to the extended to get what they came for, which is the answer to the question. And here's what we look into you every single time. So you've got the Knight of Coins. You are Okay, this is a very stay on target sort of energy. You have something that enables you to stay on target. You could allow yourself to simply do that, or you could allow yourself to be distracted by something that your person does, or doesn't have to be your person, something else that happens just kind of in general. You have the Chariot. Now, one of the reasons that you want to probably stay on target is you may not have a ton of motivation, energy at your disposal right now. And if you're noticing that that's you and you're kind of feeling that way about things, it's okay. It's temporary. It'll go away. This Nine of Wands here has that feeling of you really having come a long way. Like you've come a long way from the standpoint of where you spend your time and how you think about things. Your perspectives are more mature. They're going to enable you to be more successful. They're not as dramatic as they once were. There's something about that that is going to still, like, it hasn't taken the edge off to allow you not to be able to have fun. I don't see that, but I do see you moving into a place that is less, you have fewer walls up. There's less of a need for you to feel like you've got to protect yourself. So there's a need for focusing on your own balance. This is the Temperance card in the reverse. It is basically what happens after a long time of patience. So you aren't there yet. It is by no fault of your own because it's just where you are in the timeline. It doesn't mean you aren't doing the work. So if you're sitting there saying, I'm doing everything I can to establish balance, please recognize that. This card absolutely recognizes that you may still be doing the work, but there's just a long way to go. That's, you could see that card come out even when you're perfectly happy with your life, and I wouldn't get too upset about it. Knight of Cups in the reverse, though, this is a feeling of maybe you're working too hard. So be focused, but don't work too hard on what you're doing. Keep that in mind because I know there are a lot of opportunities rising in front of several of you that you are wanting to jump into and take on. That's pretty fantastic, but remember that you have some opportunities that maybe you're not supposed to take, some things that maybe you have decisions to make about how to spend your time, and some of those may be about which opportunities you're going to have time for and which ones maybe you won't spend the time on. So with this Knight of Cups, though, I don't know. I got a sense there with that you're going to want to be discerning with your time. Okay, Page of Wands is back. I didn't think it was, but it is. So, all right, Page of Wands and Three of Swords, both in the reverse. Page of Wands is kind of like this Chariot card where there's a little bit of a lack of motivation that may be kind of haunting you a little bit. The Page of Wands is also like it feels like an existential sort of depression that wants to hunt you but is not necessarily able to catch you. You are absolutely able to stay ahead of it. The question is whether you should. With the Three of Swords, I feel like don't worry about staying ahead of it because it's likely to catch you and you're likely to have to kind of think through some things. As you think through them, you're going to be re-exposed to some things that have concerned you in the past, but I don't get the sense that you will have a hard time working through those. I think you aren't really going to feel that pain. You're just going to be able to use it kind of as a reference point, so that when things do start moving relatively quickly, and they will, you're going to be quite prepared to deal with it. So we saw that in a previous reading, might have been yesterday, that things would start moving relatively quickly and that, there'd be a need to kind of coordinate some of that. Which, that's fine. I get the feeling here that you're going to be perfectly placed to do that. But you got the King of Cups here in the reverse, and I just want you to be careful. We have okay, this is a pattern now. We have the Knight of Cups in the reverse, followed by the King of Cups and the Page of Cups, all in the reverse. This is about you not necessarily being able to, you may be working too hard, and you may not be keeping those emotional, like keeping yourself open emotionally, which is important because you do have somebody coming your direction that is going to be wanting to pull on that. Now, it may be your person, but we also know that you have multiple soulmates wanting to come your direction right now, kind of in with wrapped into some of these opportunities that we've seen coming for you. So there, it's pretty important that you keep yourself open and don't allow yourself to get closed up, or really it's like you get so distracted that you're not even emotionally closed up from from the standpoint of a person trying to get out of dealing with emotions. It's more like you're just focused so much on something else that you almost forget to. So just remember to focus also on other things that are important to you, which may be relationships, may even be new relationships coming in. Just something else to think about. There's a lot of positivity in this energy for you. It's been coming out fairly positive for a while, with few exceptions, and I would say that it continues to. So that's really great, because that's what you're going to use to kind of address everything else that comes at you. And you do maybe have some things coming at you. So let's, like I said, when we get into the extended, we'll look a little bit more into this third party situation or this energy, because it's really their whole lifestyle. So I feel like there's maybe multiple third party energy type things happening in here: work, family, significant other, children, possibly in some cases. And those things are all kind of pulling on them, each one creating its own energy, and all of that we refer to as third party. So when we get in a little bit deeper in the extended, that's where we'll look, just to kind of see what else is happening with that, and also what does it drive, what does it mean, what is most likely to happen as a result of that for you. So that's what we'll do. If you're interested, go look at the extended video. The link is down below, and I'd love to see you there. Otherwise, I will look forward to seeing you again in tomorrow's reading.